Hello and happy December. It is officially almost Capricorn season, my birthday month. And to celebrate, I decided that for the month of December, I was going to dedicate my content to sharing my story with you. And you also get to see my cat. Enjoy. But I do this in the hopes that you'll learn some lessons from my story and that you'll consider doing 2021 a little bit different from usual. That you'll learn to take a chance on you, and you'll understand that the systems that have been put in place that we are expected to work within were never meant for us and will forever disappoint us. And so therefore, it's time to kick them to the curb. On this channel, usually I'm talking about demystifying YouTube and anti-capitalist entrepreneurship. So if you do enjoy that, definitely make sure that you subscribe, because I promise you it is all interconnected. For some context, let's set the stage. I am you if you've spent most of your life, both adolescent and even getting into those adult years, always feeling the need to please authority figures, no matter who they are, whether it be teachers, whether it be bosses, whether it be pastors, authority figures in general. And not out of some weird sense of self-righteousness or feeling better than anyone else, but just because you were told that was what you did, that was following the rules, and you tend to follow the rules because that is just the right thing to do. And in fact, this type of behavior has been warded throughout your entire life. It's been warded throughout our entire society. You respect authority, you follow the rules, you get a pat on the back. Now the problem comes when your entire identity becomes wrapped around always pleasing members of authority and following rules without questioning them. In essence, being a goody fucking two-shoes. You listen to what people say you're supposed to do, and you get good at mimicking the good behavior, and so you continue to do so. Anything that is seen as bad behavior, you make sure that you don't do that in any way, shape, or form. And so the problem with this is that you adopt this sort of right and wrong, black and white thinking into every aspect of your life. Literally every aspect of it. You make it your life's work to be good and to follow the rules for no particular reason except you just feel like that's just what you're supposed to do. So the problem with that, again, is that it seeps into every aspect of your life. For instance, if you get bad grades, then that is not just a sucky situation, it becomes a flaw in your character. It's, a moral problem that you should be ashamed of. If you become fearful of making mistakes and doing the wrong thing so much that even in social situations you get anxiety because you're afraid of saying or doing the wrong thing. And then there's also the other added layer, which is, think about who most of the people are that are in authority right now, especially in our society. They're usually problematic ass people, knee deep in patriarchy, white supremacy, capitalism. They're a hot mess. So when you get in the habit of listening to people in authority and trying to mimic this good behavior, then you develop a mindset that completely disconnects you from self. And that's exactly what I experienced, to the point where I didn't know what my value was outside of getting good grades, outside of making good money, outside of, being the good one, no matter where I was, even in places where it didn't even matter. So at the end of the day, I really had no idea who I really was outside of the opinions of other people. And I carried this mindset with me for freaking years, literally years. There were some benefits, of course. Obviously, when you listen to people in authority, you tend to get ahead. And for a time, it seemed like I was checking off all of the right boxes because I was seemingly doing what was right and good. Now, this idea of doing what was right and good and checking off all of the boxes also permeated into my relationships. And so I decided to get married to someone that I had been in a relationship for almost a decade, because that's just was the expectation. Now, my parents did not have a healthy marriage. Honestly, whose parents have a healthy marriage these days? If your parents did not get divorced, then you're a unicorn at this point in time. But I figured that this could be a nice new healthy box that I could check off. Having a good healthy marriage. And we didn't have any major issues, nothing huge. We were off and on a little bit, obviously, because when you're dating anyone in your early 20s, you both have a lot of growing to do. And looking back, I always felt like I was respected and we got along. We didn't fight too often. We played the same video games. It was a pretty simple situation. And most importantly, it was co-signed by the church. So, in true Capricorn fashion, I went through the process of preparing and planning for the wedding, of researching and understanding the home buying process, because that's just what you do. And, there were obstacles that got in the way, but I just bulldozed on through them. I did what I felt like anyone was supposed to do, including most of the time pulling way more than my fair share. I gave myself a pat on the back. I said, wow, Liz, you're killing it. But as luck would have it, I was not, in fact, killing it. And all was not well. It was not the happy fairy tale that I had thought it would be. And I had found out that about 7 months after we got married that this person had been living a totally secret life and had not been faithful. And when I found this out, obviously I was extremely hurt. I felt broken, but then I immediately rushed into, let's fix this. Let's do fix it mode. I did what I thought any good woman, good wife would do. And I immediately set off to figure out, okay, counseling. We need counseling. We need X, Y, Z, and the third. But then I realized, after trying to bulldoze through this obstacle, that it doesn't really matter how much effort you put in to a relationship if both people aren't willing to put in the work. So I admitted defeat. I still can't believe that after enduring all that I went through emotionally with that, I decided that I needed to give myself homework to try and fix it. Like, what? Who does this? Who? And the crazy part is that, to me, in the moment, the worst part of the situation wasn't the betrayal. It was the fact that I was making a very public announcement of my failed marriage by getting a divorce, because I had made a promise before friends and family and before God that I would stick this out no matter what forever. But yeah, my major concern was, oh my God, what are other people going to think about me? Crazy. I felt defeated for a long time. And oddly, I also felt like this shouldn't have happened to me. For some reason, I felt like I was above a divorce, above, this type of messiness. I felt like, oh, I'm not one of those types of people who has that happen, or, misses the signs, or, does the things that causes this to happen. And I really just felt ashamed that, I couldn't figure this relationship stuff out just like my parents couldn't. So yeah, I was a hot mess. And again, in true Liz fashion, I went back into fix-it mode. This time, it was actually a good fix-it mode. I just took my ass to therapy. I felt confident in my decision at the time. I was still dealing with the shame and the guilt of it, but I knew that I just needed to take my behind to therapy. So that's what I did. And it was the best decision ever. Now, when I started going to therapy, I wasn't expecting some huge, miraculous breakthrough. I just knew that it was just something I needed to do, because that was the right thing to do. When you get divorced, you're supposed to go to therapy and have someone help you pick up the pieces. But for all intents and purposes, I was pretty much doing fine on the outside. I was still going to work and performing per my usual. You know, even when I started telling some people, they admitted they had no idea that I was going through this for as long as I was. But, you know, I went to therapy. I was completely honest and open to the sessions. I said to my therapist everything that happened, everything I was thinking, everything I was feeling. And through these sessions, she helped me to realize the most important thing that I had yet to understand, that me getting a divorce was not a failure, that it was actually a blessing in disguise, because it opened me up to so many amazing new possibilities that I could do with my life. I was able to uncover that in my relationship, I had been actively choosing to settle because I just didn't believe that there was anything better, that there was anything. I just didn't believe that fairy tales truly existed. Like, you see everyone when they get married, they say, oh, they found their happily ever after. But do they really think they found their happily ever after? Or is that just something they're telling themselves? But in these sessions, for the first time, I realized, no, I can actually hold out for my happily ever after. That's not something that is specially designed for those types of people. That's specially designed for just white people in the Hallmark movies. It's like, no, I can do better and I deserve better. And there are so many more possibilities out there for me. And then once I started uncovering that, I thought, wow, I've been living under a lot of bullshit my entire life. I wonder where else there's some bullshit. Come to find out, there was a lot more bullshit in my life that I had to get rid of. But we'll talk about all that next week. This series definitely needed to be broken up over a few different videos. It's kind of long, but it's important because I really think we all need to understand how we need to rethink failure. How certain things that we define as failure is actually holding us back. And we need to be more open to taking risks, to taking chances on ourselves and doing the things that scare us and being our own social proof for things that we have not seen in either our families or our friendship circles. So thank you for listening to my story. It is really good to get it off my chest and to help other people out there who are feeling pressured to maintain a certain persona, even though honestly, no one really cares, and we're all just out here trying to live our lives the best way we can. So, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next week for part 2.